Hey y'all, my name is Z. I'm the Director of Youth Outreach with the Future Perfect Project here. You're here with us Monday night, 7 p.m. for our FPP live interview series where we interview an amazing artist from whatever field of art that they are coming into us with. I'm really excited tonight. It's going to be a great night. We're interviewing the indomitable and talented Zachary Quinto. I'm like really giddy. So we usually talk about, what it's like to be queer growing up in the world today, what it's like to be an artist, a queer artist in the world today. And, Julie, you're the best. Hey, Sasha. Good to see you too. Our interview series has run the gamut at this point. We've had Bob the Drag Queen. We've had Todrick Hall. We've had Nate Berkus and Jeremiah. Jeremiah. I'm in that place tonight. Zach's going to be joining us shortly. I'm really excited. It's going to be another wonderful night. Hey, Celeste. So the Future Perfect Project, for those of you who are watching for the first time, we are a grant-based organization that believes the self-expression of LGBTQ plus youth and allies is a declaration of a better future for us all. So the way we do that is by providing free arts programming to LGBTQ plus teens and allies from the age 13 through now 24 with our FPP 21 programming. Hey, Ellie, nice to see you. Kara McGlue. Oh, Kara McGlue! Is that Kara McGlue from high school? Oh, that's wonderful. Hi, Emma. Oh, and Ellie. So excited. I'm just going to check in with Zach, see where he's at. Oh, wow. Just like that, an angel popped into the Instagram. Here he is, Zachary Quinto, going live. Woo! Oh, thank you. I feel out of this world today. So many screens in my glasses. Hello, Zach. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very grateful to be with you tonight. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah,
What?
I love the camera, just like slightly adjusting the camera just now. It was very timely.
Just a little minute. I've never done an Instagram live before, ever. It's so crazy, I
Oh,
think.
whoa. Well,
It's my first one.
we are breaking barriers. You are a pilgrim here today on Instagram Live with us. I'm glad we could be host to your first. I'm just so grateful that you took the time out to have a conversation with us about queer youth, about, a little bit about your life. And we'll just start with our usual introduction. So my name is Z. I'll let you know a little bit about FPP, actually. So we are a grant-based organization that provides free arts programming to LGBTQ plus teens and allies. And we believe that the self-expression of LGBTQ plus teens is a declaration of a better future for us all. Hear, hear. And again, we do that by providing free arts programming. So we do workshops throughout the year. Currently, we have a Tuesday night writers workshop. We have a queer comic series that's coming up. We have a FPP Records coming up. So we're doing a bunch of things. And FPP Live, what you're a part of, is our weekly interview series where we talk to badass artists like yourself about being you and being queer and how you make it in the world today. Does that sound
I love
like
it.
jazz?
I love the sense of empowerment that you're offering young people in the community. I think that's such a cornerstone of personal growth and evolution, and something that I didn't have in the same way when I was young. So I'm really grateful to be a part of that and to support that mission, which all sounds really exciting and impactful. So thanks for having me. We got a lot of Z energy in the room tonight.
We do lots of Z energy, just vibing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
vibing. Well, we're going to get into it, but just like we start our workshops, we have our introductions where we say
Yep.
our name, and then we use our pronouns in a
Great.
sentence to describe how we're feeling and where we are. So I'll go first, and then you will go forward.
Great.
So my name is Z, and they are feeling giddy in Roselle Park, New Jersey.
Great. My name is Zachary Quinto, and he is feeling grateful in Los Angeles, California.
Beautiful. The attitude of gratitude is the way to proceed, baby. I'll tell you that much. Oh, you're getting love from Puerto Rico. My people are loving on you.
Excellent, excellent.
Super excited that you're here. And those who are watching, if you want to throw some questions into the chat, let us know. And if we can get to them, we will. Really exciting. So you grew up in Green Tree, Pennsylvania. Is that a small town?
It's a suburb of Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay, because I grew up in a suburb outside of the city. I'm wondering what it was like growing up in the burbs for you.
Yeah. My upbringing was very safe and traditional, I would say, in a lot of ways. I had a very, yeah, it was easy. It was an easy upbringing in a lot of ways, right? At least externally. And I had a lot of support in my community and in my family, and I felt really loved. And there were a lot of transitions and traumas that happened to me at a young age. I lost my father, and so that really defined a lot of things for me. But as I said, externally, my upbringing was really pretty easy.
Mm. And you did theater a lot growing up. Am I correct? You were,
Starting when I was about 11, yeah, 10 or 11.
wow. Can you talk
Hmm.
to me about that? Like, what was theater for you back then? Like, what did that experience mean to you? Because for me, it was a safe haven. Do you know? It was
Exactly.
like
That
where I
was
could be
that was the
myself.
word I was going to use. It was a haven. After my father died, my mom had to go to work, and I was young, and so theater became a place where I could go after school, and my mom could, in a practical and logistical way, know that I was safe. And then also for me, emotionally, theater became a place where I could go and explore a lot of the big feelings that I was having around the loss of my dad and the tectonic shifts that happened in my family and in my life when I was a kid.
Yeah. Wow. Our experiences are different, but I remember when I was in high school, I was diagnosed with cancer when I was in high school, and I was double cast as Tony in West Side Story. They cast a Puerto Rican as Tony in West Side Story,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it was one of those lifelines like you're describing, for healing
Hmm.
and processing a lot of that trauma. So
Hmm.
your experience is so relevant to what so many of our participants have.
Hmm.
So you went off to Carnegie Mellon, you studied theater, and then you continued your career. I'm wondering what it was like for you when you were coming out, or not even just coming out, but like when did you know you were queer, regardless of coming out?
I remember having a sense that there was something different about me when I switched schools in fourth grade, and there was a whole process of immersing myself in a new community of people, and there was a penny drop for me at that moment. So how old are you in fourth grade? Nine,
Hmm.
maybe 10, around there. I knew there was something different. It took me a while to put more details to that feeling, and then it took me even longer to accept it. So that process started when I was 9 or 10, and lasted into my 20s. I'm certainly of a different generation, a lot of the young people that I'm sure your organization works with. So things were different back then. And it was a bit more of a process of self-acceptance. It didn't happen so immediately. And I learned a lot about myself through that journey. There were a number of different coming outs for me, coming out to myself, coming out to my friends, coming out to my family, and then eventually coming out publicly. Each one of those was its own kind of experience and its own kind of hurdle in a lot of ways. And so I engaged each one of them in a different sense, in a different way.
I love being able to chill with you right now because it's so interesting to think of like what my own experience was like coming out, because it was a different time even than 10 years ago,
Hmm.
when I was coming out, 15 years ago now when I was coming out. Because for me, I was very closeted. I like was gay. It was in college. It was like you're gay by May, and I was like gay by day two. For everyone, their experience is so different. Can you talk to me a little
Hmm.
bit about like what it was? like you mentioned, in a time, different generation. What was it like in your time when you were coming out? Like, what was that? What were the obstacles you had to face in the world?
Well, the obstacles I had to face personally were in the environment around me. I grew up
Mm-hmm.
Catholic, so there was the religious hurdle of the judgment and all of the good and bad, black and white um, sense that surrounded not just sexuality, but all kinds of other personality traits and behaviors. And there was just such a sense of morality imposed on me that wasn't my own and that I didn't have a chance to cultivate myself. And then my family, which was obviously very influenced by their religion, my society, community, my socioeconomic background, coming from a very white, sort of upper middle class environment. There were certain expectations that were laid on my at my feet, and then beyond that, in a professional sense, being an actor at the time, in when I graduated college in 1990, I began my professional career. I'm sorry, 1999. Don't want to make myself older than I am.
Wow.
But in 1999, things were really different. It wasn't that long ago, but things were really different. There weren't nearly the number of openly gay, out identifiable, authentic actors and actresses that there are today. And there was much more of a stigma attached to it in a lot of ways that I had to wrestle with, in my own self and in my professional relationships as well.
Yeah, so real. I'm wondering because it sounds like you were. I can relate to that, like facing a lot of obstacles. I too was raised Catholic, and the thing you said about morality, right? That like question of who I was has like to this day continued to be a question that I confront as I heal and process that experience. But I'm wondering, like, when you were in high school, whether there was something that you were like, you looked at the world and you're like, whoa, that's just got to change. Oh my God, I've got to do something about it. And um, and what that, so I'm wondering what that was, if anything,
Mm-hmm.
and what you did about it.
Mm-hmm. It took me a while to get to that point. I would say in high school, when I was a teenager, there was so much in front of me that had to do with my own experience that I wasn't able to see beyond that yet. And so I focused more on my own journey
Hmm.
and reconciling myself to my own path. And it was later in my life that I was able to look at the broader picture. And I think my public coming out and the experience that I had coming out publicly was probably more instrumental and more informed by other people's experience than my personal coming out or my journey that got me to that place. I was really ambitious. I was really primarily focused on my career and succeeding, frankly. And then as time went on, and I did succeed to a certain extent and achieved certain milestones that I had set out for myself, then I started to look at things a little bit more differently and a little bit more broadly and realized that I had the opportunity to make a difference, actually. And not only did I have the opportunity, but I had the responsibility to a certain extent. And that was ultimately what motivated my decision to come out publicly.
Which you did in 2011, and you've
Hmm.
subsequently been an advocate for queer people, particularly queer youth, because I know you've been a volunteer for the Trevor Project. Can you talk to me a little about what that experience is like, and what the Trevor Project is or is means to you?
Absolutely. The Trevor Project is one of my favorite nonprofit organizations and one that I've supported for a long time, but there were years that I could only support it anonymously, really. I couldn't get
Mm.
out in front of it because I wasn't out in a public way. And so I would make donations or, work with them in certain ways. But once I came out in 2011, the Trevor Project was one of the first calls I made, and I reached out to them. I went in to meet their executive director and got a tour of the facility and learned more about
Mm.
how they do what they do. The Trevor Project is a 24-hour, 365-day a year suicide prevention hotline for LGBTQ plus youth. And it is a phenomenal organization that's run by incredibly compassionate and intelligent people. And from the top down, it just has the well-being of LGBTQ plus youth at the center of its mission. It's what drives everybody that is involved with that organization. And through that experience, I ended up participating in a Lifeline counselor training program and actually being a Lifeline counselor. So volunteering 2 shifts a month to be on the Lifelines and answer the phones for young people in crisis. And it was such a profound time. I feel so grateful that I did it. And to really support an organization is one thing, but to know how an organization achieves the reach and the impact that they do is a whole other thing, and that was something that resonated for me on a whole different level.
Oh, my heart, my heart. I want to clutch my pearls because um, I've utilized the Trevor Lifeline and at periods in my life, and it's just so beautiful to recognize like someone like you is willing to give that time and give uh, that thought and responsibility as you regarded it as earlier. That's really like it's really encouraging, really brave, and makes space for our youth, and is part of why we operate. Um, is for youth to feel as though that their voices can be heard,
Hmm.
and that their voices are worthy of a platform.
Hmm.
Their beautiful out queer selves are to be celebrated, right? Which is why we have a Tuesday workshop that we focus on writing.
Hmm.
Our co-founder and actually the co-founder of the Trevor Project, Celeste Lacine, runs our Tuesday writers workshops, and we have like I mentioned earlier, we have a queer comic program coming up where um, participants will be invited to do a series of workshops to then produce some content around superheroes and comic books, and then we'll also be having our FPP record label coming through, where we have an application process for queer teens, queer artists, queer musicians to bring their own original work, um, and have it produced and shared on our platform through like Spotify and Instagram and all that stuff.
Love that.
And if you want to know more, or if anyone who's watching wants to learn more, you can go to thefutureperfectproject.com. Crazy. Or you can just like our Instagram has a link tree. Do you know what a link tree is, Zach?
I do.
Okay, it took me a long time to learn what a link tree was.
Hmm.
It took me like until a month ago. I was like, what is Linktree?
Hmm.
So you can find our Linktree, which just like links you to everything that we do in our Instagram profile. Which gets me really excited to talk to you a little bit about like what is motivating you as an artist now. What's keeping you artistic? I know you play the banjo. I'm
Yeah,
a
it's
big
just
fan of your banjo covers.
over
Oh,
there.
there it is. And you're a
Yeah, I haven't
dog
been
parent.
playing lately. Yes, I got dogs here. It's strewn about the house. Obviously, this time has been incredibly unique, and I've really engaged a lot of different levels of creativity since I've been in lockdown. I've, yeah, played the banjo. I have a production company, and so a lot of my creative energy has actually gone into developing projects for my company, which has been really gratifying. As an actor, I haven't worked in about a year now, and so I'm grateful that I'm not just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring or waiting for projects to come back together and be greenlit through quarantine. I'm able to channel my energy into the stories that I do want to be a part of once we get back to some semblance of normalcy. So that's what I've been doing by and large on a business front, on a creative front. I participated in a lot of readings through this time, benefits, online things, just to stay engaged and stay active. And yeah, reading, watching movies, listening to music, exercising, hiking, doing things that I feel keep me engaged and active during this time. Ultimately, gratitude, as we mentioned at the top of this conversation, is such an important part of our experience. For me, I feel grateful to be in the situation that I'm in. I recognize how fortunate I am. And I recognize that I want to do something with that. I don't just want to sit around complaining or wishing away this time. I think
Hmm.
that we'll look back on this period of time, those of us who are able to benefit from the slowing down, right? I mean, there's so much trauma. There's so many people in the world that are dealing with crises and loss and grief around this pandemic. And I think we need to hold space for all those people. I personally have had people very close to me who have suffered from the virus, and I've really tried to take precautions and stay safe and keep the people I love safe. And so that I don't take for granted, and I don't take that lightly. But beyond that, I feel like this time that we've been forced to slow down and evaluate and look at where we are in our lives, I think is something that when things pick back up again on the other side of the vaccine and we're all kind of scrambling back into our lives,
Hmm.
we're going to be grateful for this. And so I've tried to um, be mindful of that. I've tried to keep that, at least somewhere in my experience, because it sometimes does get frustrating. And we get impatient. We're used to getting what we want when we want it, and now nature has made a different arrangement for us, and we
Hmm.
have no choice but to slow down and look and listen to understand a little bit maybe what nature has in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been thinking about this whole period of time as like the great equalizer. Do you know, it's like so much of the industry of so many artists are we're constantly have this mindset of competition. Who's doing what, who's staying busy. And I guess maybe that's the capitalist mindset, right? It's like I have to be the best. I have to go after the best. And this whole period of time for me has been very reflecting on like what is my personal best.
Hmm.
When am I sitting in my space of gratitude and recognizing that there's wholeness in my life, even if I don't have the job or the car or the fancy life, but that like in my soul, in my heart, I'm whole. Like you as a puppy parent. It's like building those beautiful relationships and treasuring that time to slow down and be with the people and the ones that we love. Um,
There are a lot of people in this world who have fancy lives and who are entirely miserable. And I think it's important to remember that happiness, fulfillment, doesn't come from things outside of us. It never will. It doesn't come from money. It doesn't come from fame or success or a relationship or the external things that so many of us are conditioned to relate to in terms of our own self-worth. The only way that any of those things will ever matter is if we're able to cultivate within ourselves the kind of fulfillment, the kind of happiness and integration that we desire, and then
mhm,
bring that to the world. It's when we look for it outside of ourselves and we become these kind of hungry ghosts that are just willing to devour anything that's put in front of us for the hope that maybe that'll be the thing. It just is a self-perpetuating cycle. It never
mhm.
pays off. That's been my experience of it. So that's what I've been using this time to do. Meditate a lot, cultivate a practice, and hopefully benefit from that on some levels. It's not always easy. There are some days that are really hard, and I recognize that. But it's also in the difficulty and facing the difficulty and feeling the difficult feelings and not looking for ways to escape them or diminish them, that you actually are able to transform. And that's true of any experience, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep thinking of this mentality of like, I have to, so many artists, myself included, feel that they have to constantly be producing, putting something out there, sharing something. And I've noticed creatively, even in this quarantine, myself slowing down and recognizing that I don't need to create to produce something. Pre-pandemic, I was constantly creating, writing, thinking, oh, well, what is someone going to think of this? What's the audience going to perceive of this? Instead of creating for myself. And I'm wondering whether, sort of like you're saying with your meditation process, that like slowing down, looking within oneself, whether there are other things that you do, um, or if you want to elaborate more on your meditation process, like to like write and create for just for you and for your own peace and sense of ease.
Hmm. Journaling is an important part of that for me. Meditation, I do find, is it's such a great thing to return to. That's the process, right? Coming back to it. Um, I meditate every day, twice a day. And so
Mm,
I start my day with it. It's the first thing I do when I wake up. And then it's something I do again in the afternoon. And so there is this subtle evolution that happens over time. And the more you're able to build the resilience and the discipline that's necessary to come back to that experience, the more consciousness expands and anxiety lowers, lessens. It's been a really interesting journey for me, actually. Um, I didn't necessarily, I mean, I had been wanting to cultivate a meditation practice for a while, and then it just happened in this really organic way. And it's become a real essential part of my life. And I don't, it's a non-negotiable for me. That's one of the things that even if I don't want to do it, and especially if I don't want to do it, I do it. And for that, I feel really grateful. And it's the kind of thing that it happens over time. We integrate and we naturalize the kinds of lessons and the kinds of discoveries that meditation can unlock in us without even knowing it.
mm,
And the more you
mm.
do it, the more that happens. And then you look back on yourself maybe, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and you can really see a difference. But while the difference is unfolding, you don't really feel it at all because it's just a thing that you're doing every day. So
Mhm.
that's been really an interesting part of not being so result oriented
Mm.
and not needing anything actually. The doing is the like the journey is the destination, right? That is the experience that I've had meditating, and uh, and there's great comfort in that because I don't need to have this huge revelatory breakthrough moment every time I sit down to meditate. Sometimes my meditations are just me thinking about stuff. Sometimes, I'm distracted or I'm not, I don't feel like every meditation is some kind of, unparalleled transcendence. But over time, yeah, the
Yeah.
experience expands, builds.
Yeah, I chant twice a day as a part of my spiritual practice, and I can relate to that. Like that point you made about things being like not seeing it unfold or the growth and progress unfold while you're in it, right? It like
Hmm.
takes some time, some space from it. And like you said before about this quarantine, creatively, I think I agree. We're going to look back and have some sense of gratitude, a deep, profound sense of gratitude for the space that has been made. Acknowledging again the trauma that has occurred, um, but finding ways to heal through it and heal together. And as we close out our time together, I wish I could talk to you all day. I'm so grateful for
My
your,
pleasure. I'm so happy
of
to be here.
course, yeah. And we'll hopefully you can figure out other ways we can work together. I would love that.
Totally, totally.
Because our youth are in need of more stories like yours,
Hmm.
and just like generosity, you know what I mean, like people who are kind and willing and giving with their souls, um, because people I think wear celebrity very tightly,
Hmm.
and you're just someone, from when I saw you in Angels in America at Signature to the Cherry Jones Glass Menagerie with you and
Mm.
Celia Keenan Bolger, like seeing you in those experience, like what witnessing you then as an artist and then following you as an actor, you always seem to wear it like a loose garment, the celebrity of it, which is like very something I really respect and appreciate about you and your talent. Um,
Thank you. That's sweet.
of course, I mean it genuinely. And like from the bottom of like all the entire team at the Future Perfect Project's hearts, Emma, Celeste, Julie, and Ryan, we love you and we're so grateful for your time and your generosity of spirit. And if people want to learn more about the Future Perfect Project, you could follow us on Instagram. You can go to our website, thefutureperfectproject.com, or you can start asking Zach and he can forward those questions.
Absolutely. I will
Email
happily
us.
do it. And I
You're the
hope that there
best.
are ways for us to stay connected and for me to be involved in the future, no pun intended. But it's exciting what you're doing and empowering young people is, like you said at the beginning, it's a real cornerstone of our society. And those are the voices that are going to shape the future and shape our experiences politically, socially, moving forward. And within our community, they're the voices that are going to define the direction in which we are moving collectively over the course of the next generation. And that's really important, really important. Someone was asking if they can donate. Is that something that you have on the website? Is there a portal?
We let's talk about it. Reach out to us at thefutureperfectproject.com. Contact us, get on our mailing list, and we'll have more information about that stuff moving forward.
Yeah,
We are a
be
grant-based organization, so we're young, we're thriving, we're flirty,
yeah.
we're getting to know how we can
Building a
connect in that way.
community. That's great. Well, keep me posted, keep me involved because I love what you're doing and I love how you're doing it. And I'm grateful that we got a chance to chat. So thanks for reaching out and inviting me to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Zach. I'm so grateful with that. We'll say goodnight to everyone and a happy new year to you again.
And to you,
Mwah!
stay safe. Bye, Z.
Bye. How do I exit this?